I walked into the kitchen and saw him pulling out plates, bread, and mustard.
The list goes on and on. Now we'll be voting on another iteration of the CR that does not contain any of the hostage demand that Democrats made. So all that bluster and showboarding for over 40 days on their part led to a big fat nothing burger, and they're walking away empty-handed. As the ranking member once said during a debate on the floor this year, wow, what a victory. I anticipate we'll hear a lot of lecturing and blame cast at Republicans for everything under the sun today. We'll hear a lot of bottled up angst with a lot of exclamation points and raised voices to boot, directed at the president too, not surprising. What we won't hear from our colleagues across the aisle today is they're taking ownership of the chaos they've unleashed upon the nation. We won't hear them apologize to the American people for gaslighting them incessantly. And we won't hear an admission that the only reason they shut down the government is to cover up for a policy failure that they themselves concocted and stamped an end date on. But it's a new day, and maybe they'll have a change of heart, see the light, and come clean. We'll just have to wait and see. With that, I now yield to the ranking member, Mr. McGovern, for any comments he wishes to make.
Well, hello, Madam Chair. Welcome back.
Hello, ranking member.
Long time no see. I hardly recognize you guys. Where the hell have you been? It's good to see you back on back in the Capitol building. We've been looking everywhere for you guys. I mean, seriously, we were worried. We actually started handing out missing person posters. Nobody has seen you for 8 weeks. But hey, I'm glad that you're okay. I'm glad that you survived your nice 2-month paid vacation while Democrats stayed in Washington to try to end this shutdown. But here's the deal. Most Americans think that what Republicans did, skipping town in a shutdown, has been one of the most disgraceful, embarrassing, pathetic eras in the modern history of the House of Representatives. For 8 weeks, Speaker Johnson let you all stay home while Americans missed paychecks, skipped meals, and watched their costs explode. Republicans quiet quit their jobs. They disappeared. And they can argue all they want that the House did its job and that's why they went home. It's just BS. The House didn't do its job. If Republicans had done their job, we wouldn't be here right now voting on a different bill than the one that they passed. But instead of working with us on trying to end the shutdown, they all just left. They abandoned their offices, but more importantly, they abandoned the American people. And just so people know, while Republicans sat on their couches waiting for someone to tell them what to do, House Democrats were here. We were here working. We were meeting with regular people, talking with folks about next year's skyrocketing health insurance premiums. I've been back and forth to my district almost every weekend. People showed me the letters that they got on their premiums. They're doubling and they're tripling, not because of Democrats, but because Republicans are failing to act. They extended tax breaks for billionaires in like a nanosecond. That got done. They wasted no time helping out the well-off and the well-connected. But when it came time to help regular people, to extending the health care tax credits that 24 million people depend on, they didn't just say no, they shut the government down over it. Republicans skipped town for 8 weeks because Democrats had the gall to ask you to do something to help regular people. And you know what? It's a real shame. Republicans are selling out middle America, selling out working people at a time when affordability is the #1 issue. And as we see record levels of inequality in this country, Republicans are selling out working people, all so they can do the bidding of the billionaire class. I mean, look what's happening. Trump's reckless tariffs continue to wreak havoc on the economy. He says food prices are way down. That's coming from a guy who dines on caviar at Mar-a-Lago. He's never shopped for groceries a day in his life. He doesn't have to pick between plastic or paper. But his tariffs are costing the average American household over $1,200 this year. And next year, it will be $1,600. That's money for groceries, for bills, for rent, taken out of the American people's wallets. And he's not even hiding it. He's rubbing it in. Trump is literally renovating his bathroom in marble and gold and posting about it on social media, while regular people are getting letters saying that their health care premiums are going up by $1,000. People are struggling to stay afloat, and this guy's golfing. He had Air Force One fly over a football game. How much did that cost? He shut down the airspace while regular travelers are stranded all over the country. The administration is funneling $40 billion to bail out Argentina. Republicans are literally subsidizing an entirely different country instead of keeping families in North Carolina or Minnesota or Texas or Indiana from going bankrupt if they face emergency hospital bills. And then giving your donors a fancy new ballroom at the White House while moms and dads can't afford to put food on the table. And speaking of putting food on the table, Trump illegally withheld food assistance from 42 million Americans, kids, veterans, seniors, working families. 2 federal court orders demanded that he pay out these benefits in full. But he would rather appeal to the highest court in the land to starve people out than to simply provide them with the food assistance that he is legally obligated to send to American families. Like, who does that? I mean, that's the Republican policy position. We'll give you your food if you let us take away your health care. I mean, who the hell thinks like that? And I know Republicans don't care. I know your donors have private doctors and insurance CEOs on speed dial. But could you at least pretend to do something about the 20 million Americans who are about to see their health care premiums soar? Or the 4 million people who could lose their coverage altogether? You don't even have a health care plan. You've been promising one for over a decade, and we've never seen it because it doesn't exist. Or maybe it's simply just hiding behind the missing appropriation bills that this Republican majority hasn't passed. I don't know. But what I do know is this. Republicans have been in charge for 292 days. That's 292 days to do something, anything, to lower costs, to bring down prices, to make America more affordable, to do something about health care, tariffs, grocery prices, rent, or heating bills. And what did you do? You handed out tax breaks to billionaires and took the longest paid vacation in modern history. Even your own colleagues called it out. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene says you guys messed up. When Marjorie Taylor Greene thinks you've gone too far, you might want to rethink things. And by the way, you also refused to even swear in our new colleague, the duly elected representative from Arizona's 7th District, Adelita Grijalva. Why? Because she will represent the 218th signature on a discharge petition to release the Epstein files. Oh, we didn't forget about those either. Don't worry. We won't forget that the Speaker of the House refused to swear in the first Latina ever elected to represent Arizona because he was more concerned about protecting pedophiles than getting the truth out there for the survivors. But that's just the perfect metaphor for the Trump economy. If you're rich and powerful, you get ahead. If you're a regular person, Republicans will not lift a finger to help you. And I want to be crystal clear. House Democrats represent something very different. We refuse to accept a government that moves at lightning speed to give tax breaks to billionaires, but then goes home for 8 weeks when it comes to ensuring health care is affordable for working families. We've said it from day one of this shutdown. We will sit down with any Republicans, anytime, any place, anywhere, in order to find a path forward that would reopen the government and finds a solution to Republicans' health care crisis. But we're not just going to roll over and accept your way, your my way or the highway approach to governance. If you need our votes, you need to work with us. But you refuse because you're more interested in extremism than governance. But here's the thing. The beautiful thing about politics is that you don't really lose until you quit trying. And Democrats are going to keep trying because people are counting on us to do something about this health care crisis. And when their health care premiums double and triple, and they will, and they're your constituents, I'm sure you're getting the calls, Republicans will own it. Every premium spike, every family forced off coverage, every life put at risk, you own it. And good luck going home to your constituents to explain why you sold them out in order to appease the millionaires and billionaires. Extending these tax credits is the right thing to do. It is the moral thing to do. 13 House Republicans have said it needs to be done because soaring health care costs will devastate our constituents, whether they live in a red state or a blue state. So I want people to know that we will keep fighting. I will keep fighting. My colleagues on this committee, on the Democratic side, will keep fighting for a government that puts the working class first and for a Congress that actually shows up and does their damn job. I yield back my time.
This is actually the biggest thing they've done to protect American seniors from the migrant crisis. Here's how it works.
All seniors across America now have a once-in-a-lifetime chance to get a concealed carry permit to protect themselves. The new controversial bill just passed, and seniors are flooding into this online program to claim their carry permit before it's too late. The rumor is that this bill has been getting too much backlash from the anti-2A folks, so the deadline is set to be announced this Friday. Luckily for now, if you're a U.S. citizen over 60 years old, you can still claim yours. It's completely free to check and only takes a minute. Just tap the blue Learn More button below, fill out the quick questionnaire, and you'll get yours in the mail in a week. But tap the link below now before it's too late.
What's better after 50 when? Gym or Tai Chi?
One builds ego, the other reverses time.
How to start Tai Chi workout for 7 minutes a day. We start this Monday. In 1 week, you'll see your energy. In 2 weeks, you'll feel your breath. In 3 weeks, you'll have energy and your wife won't believe your results. Here is the personalized plan of short Tai Chi workouts tailored for beginners over 50. It takes just 7 minutes per day. Beginner friendly and requires no equipment. You can work out anytime, anywhere. Just open the app and follow along.
Thank you, Mr. McGovern. And I want to welcome all the members. I should have said that. I'm very pleased to see everyone. Without objection, any prepared statements that our witnesses may have will be included in the record. And now welcome our first panel, Chairman Cole and Ranking Member DeLauro from the Committee on Appropriations. Your full statement will be submitted for the record. We ask that you summarize your statement in 5 minutes. Chairman Cole, I welcome your testimony and welcome you back to the Rules Committee.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. Chairwoman Fox, Ranking Member McGovern, and esteemed members of the Rules Committee, I thank you for your warm welcome and your kind invitation to testify today. As members of this committee are all too painfully aware, for the last 6 weeks, the federal government has been shut down. Millions of workers have gone unpaid. Air traffic control functions have slowed to a near halt. SNAP benefits expired, forcing millions of Americans to either find assistance from food banks or else go hungry. Seniors saw telepath resources suspended, and Head Start education programs for children have been closing. These are just a few of the examples of the harm being inflicted on our nation, yet it didn't have to be this way. Nearly 2 months ago, the House passed a continuing resolution that would have kept the government open and operating. This would have allowed Congress time to keep working on the FY 2026 appropriations process through regular order, but instead, Senate Democrats blocked its passage. The result of this political temper tantrum has been the longest government shutdown in the nation's history. For 42 days and counting, Democrats have held the country hostage. Make no mistake, all the pain, all the suffering, and all the difficulty Americans have endured in these past 6 weeks could have and should have been avoided. Instead, the hardship and damage caused by an intentional choice made by Democratic leadership. Minority leaders Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer led their caucus to shut down the government. And for 42 days, the American people have borne the brunt of that decision and have been mere pawns at the partisan hands of the Democrats. At long last, reason has prevailed. and the measure before us will finally end this pointless shutdown. Today's bill will not only reopen the government, but it will also move the FY 2026 appropriations process forward, representing a return to regular order. This legislation includes 3 bipartisan, bicameral, full-year appropriations measures covering the military, construction, and veterans affairs, legislative branch, and agriculture, rural development, and food and drug administration divisions. These 3 bills have been negotiated between the 2 chambers and reflect a final, full, and bipartisan agreement. With passage of these 3 divisions, we will have full-year funding in place for many of our most crucial programs. Military construction needs will be met for a full year, as will medical programs for our nation's veterans. The legislative branch will be fully funded, including critical funding enhancements for the Capitol Police and for member security. The Department of Agriculture and Food and Drug Administration will also be fully funded, as will the WIC program, to ensure that pregnant women and young children will get the food and nutrition they need to survive and to thrive. Importantly, the agreement encompasses community project funding in both the military construction and agriculture divisions, reflecting Congress's clear control over the power of the purse. Inclusion of these projects was a high priority for the Appropriations Committee, and it accomplishes this goal while holding the line on overall spending levels. We also break Senator Schumer's beloved end-of-the-year holiday omnibus habit. No more 1,000-page spending behemoths at midnight. Republicans have restored an open, line-by-line process. As we continue to make strong progress on full-year FY 26 bills, we've included a continuing resolution to fund the remainder of the government through January 30th, 2026. This extension supports our ongoing work on this front, especially given the time lost during the Democratic shutdown. The simplest truth today is this: reopening the government will put an end to the chaos Democratic leadership has inflicted on Americans. It will also ensure that SNAP funds are made available to ensure that no American goes hungry. It will reestablish control of the skies, keeping our nation's air traffic moving during the holiday season.
The government is banning this $39 electric lighter next month, and this is your last shot to get the original high-powered version. There's a new next-gen electric lighter out there, and it's the most brutal one you'll ever own. But here's the bad news. In just a few weeks, regulators will force the only company that makes it to completely neuter its design. That means sluggish ignition, a pathetic flame, and a lighter that just won't deliver like this beast does right now. The current version
my district and what they think.
We've heard you talk about that before, and I have 30,000 people in New Mexico who are federal employees, and I've been meeting with them as well. But I wanted to go to the fact that, you know, Representative Roy, who came and left so quickly, he was talking about cancer and how he's a cancer survivor. I'm a cancer survivor. And he was talking about how the Affordable Care Act is so bad, but you know what? I'm a cancer survivor. And so if it wouldn't have been for the Affordable Care Act, I would not be able to get insurance because there was a pre-existing condition. You know what else I am? I am a woman. And because I was a woman and could have had babies, I would have also been a pre-existing condition. And these are the benefits of the Affordable Care Act. And the list goes on and on about why that Affordable Care Act makes sense. But what we also need to make it be is affordable. And we had a hearing. I'm the chair of the Democratic Women's Caucus, together with members of the Policy and Steering Committee. We had a hearing. Well, Republicans were on vacation. Well, Republicans were gone. If you don't want to call it vacation, let's be honest, you were not here. But we were. And we held a hearing. And one of the most compelling voices, I mean, they were all compelling. We actually had to take out our tissue because we were crying so much. But one of those voices was Brick from Utah. Brick from Utah, who has a condition that he needs infusions. And the only way he can afford those infusions is through because he gets those tax credits. And he said, I want to work. And he went and talked to his representatives, and he tried to meet with his senators And he did get to talk to Representative Kennedy, and Representative Kennedy's answer to him was, well, just go on disability. That's not an answer. That doesn't save the American government anything at all, because he wants to work. But you know what? We're going to have an amendment from Leader Jeffries and Rip Clark, I see her here, that's going to have a 3-year extension. And I'm supposing you wouldn't support that amendment. Is that right, Mr.
I don't
Chairman?
have a vote on that amendment unless you get it out of here, so.
Right. But we could vote, and we will vote later on a 1-year extension, right? Just a 1-year extension, because we've heard the ranking member talk over and over again about that there are Republicans who want that 1-year extension. So we could do that as an amendment. I'll offer that as well. It's 14 of her colleagues. Do you know, what would a 1-year extension cost us, Chairman Cole?
I have no idea. We have no jurisdiction. This is not,
what would it
with all
cost?
due
Is it about
respect,
23?
can I finish my answer?
Sure.
With all due respect, we don't deal with this on Appropriations Committee. This is not our jurisdiction, it's not our issue. That's part of the problem here. You're trying to raise it on appropriations bills. This is a Ways and Means or an Energy and Commerce issue. It's not ours. And so to hold up the funding of the entire government over something that belongs in another committee, not ours, and you're basically holding our bills, not you, and frankly, not the House, and not even a majority of the Senate. But our bills have been held hostage over something we have no jurisdiction over.
Thank you, Chairman Cole. You made that point earlier, but as we were here before, when you all passed it, this bill has tons of stuff that's not appropriations. And Ranking Member, I've heard it's about $23 billion for 1 year. That's about what it costs for 1 year. Is that right?
For 1 year, but it was 1 year.
I've asked Ranking Member, sir.
And setting up a bipartisan commission, a bipartisan, to look into this and to address the issues that people may have some concern about. But a 1-year extension, give some relief to the people who are out there. And I quoted Connecticut, you quote your district, and we can quote everyone's district and what's happening to people out there today. And the notion that we can't take this up because the continuing resolution is what the Appropriations Committee does. And we've got 50 pages of this document that deals with health care. If there were the willingness, the political will to solve this, we could do it, and we could do it very, very quickly. And let's not bifurcate continuing resolution to appropriations bills. It is all of one package. And it is incredible to me that we would watch people suffer everywhere to see what's going on with their rising healthcare prices, or their kids that are not going to be able to get the treatment that they need, and that just say, hey, figure it out another way. No, that's not what we're about. And that really is what is so outrageous about the conversation and what is going on. Go ahead.
So, Ranking Member, I think that you're right on point. It's like, we can do this, because we do it all the time. This bill is full of things, and we'll get to that whole idea of the payola for those senators in a moment, right? But I'm also struck by the contrast of priorities. The contrast of priorities. Democrats have been talking about the need to address health care, and it's not just since the shutdown. It was in that big, beautifully bad bill of theirs. Health care was key, and they could fix it now. But it's the priorities. $40 billion, I would think that's what is proposed to be sent down to Argentina.
Yes.
Chairman Cole, is that?
Right.
Do you recall that?
No, I don't.
It's $40 billion.
$40 billion.
$40 billion. So that seems to be a priority. They will send $40 billion to Argentina instead of spending $23 billion to provide health care to Americans, and all we're getting is a pinky promise that they will address that, but they won't even support a 1-year extension, a 3-year extension, or a permanent extension. But let's get to the stuff that's not. Let's get to the stuff that is not probably appropriation.
Number 1, worst fruit for your waistline. I really love grapes.
The reason you love them is because 1 cup of grapes has more sugar than a Hershey's candy bar. Now, before you reach for those strawberries, remember that strawberries are the leading fruit, the most pesticides, insecticides, and herbicides.
What about these blackberries?
Blackberries are some of the best of the berry family that you can eat. They're one of the lower sugar content fruit.
What about orange juice?
Before the 1920s, nobody drank orange juice. People ate oranges instead. But in the 1920s, Sunkist saw a business opportunity. They started marketing orange juice as a daily health drink. And they convinced people the healthiest way to start their day was a full glass of orange juice. Even doctors were recruited to push the benefits of vitamin C, and the public bought it. First of all, orange juice is pure sugar, plus it impairs your immune system for 6 hours after you drink it. Also, oats are basically pure sugar. Oatmeal is good for one thing, and that's for fattening horses for the winter. Remember, breakfast is break fast. Lots of human and animal studies have shown the longer you delay eating breakfast, the more ketones and weight loss you will achieve. If you're eventually going to have break fast, look for fat-based sources like an avocado or omega-3 eggs. You probably notice there's a lot of alternatives to milk, often plant-based, but beware. Just because it came from a plant doesn't mean it's good for you. Oat milk is just plain bad for you. The protein in oats acts exactly like gluten. Look, my daughter is a horsewoman, and she tells me that the only purpose of eating oats is to fatten horses. Oats have no place in the human diet. Here's the problem with almond milk. Most almond milk is made from ground up almonds, and the skin of almonds has a nasty lectin that will actually hurt your health and cause holes in your gut. So please, ditch the almond milk. Cashews are actually part of the poison ivy family. So if you want to...
But what has been stuck in this bill that would provide those senators, it's like a payola. Like, what kind of bribe is that? Who gets 500,000 of violations? And that's why we're saying it's maybe $8 million. Senators are gonna get $1 million, a couple of million, $500,000, and we're not gonna give money to help a father pay for his health care? Is that what's going on here, Ranking Member?
Speaking of what doesn't belong in an appropriations bill, this doesn't belong in an appropriations bill. It's really, we have a review by an ethics committee that says that they can be paid off. We had it's just outrageous what's happened here. But in terms of the process, what it so violates what appropriations has done. It normally is the process where you get the 4 people involved that are the chairs and ranking members in the House and Senate, and you have a sign-off on the bills. First of all, that did not happen this time as well, and my Republican colleagues, the Senate, the Senate chair, they just went forward and posted the bills without having sign-off. Then this is secretly put it in the bill at the last hour with no one, including the House chair or ranking member, or I don't believe the ranking member on the Senate side. This was a sweetheart deal that was put in there that rips off the government and the people of this country.
And Americans think that the system is stacked against them. And when Republicans support giving payouts to senators in the millions of dollars, they can see why. But I'm going to give my Republican colleagues on this committee the opportunity to say this is not right. I will be offering an amendment to strip that entire section from the bill. We'll see what kind of courage the Republicans on this dais have. Now, I am the last Democrat to be able to ask questions, so I wanted to just give the ranking member an opportunity to see if there was anything else she wanted to raise in response to some of the other issues that...
No, I thank the gentlelady very, very much. It's really been really incredible. And first of all, you know, everybody here is supportive of our veterans and so forth, and to, if we really wanted to do something about taking care of our veterans and their health care, we would have, and you would have, dealt with the $51.7 billion in advance funding for our veterans through the Toxic Exposure Fund, which was done, by the way, in the Fiscal Responsibility Act several years ago, which we've done, and the ranking member of Milcon VA is here. And yet, there is advance money for medical care, but for the Toxic Exposure Fund, the answer is no. Why? You want to help veterans? This leads to me, when I see that there's no commitment on the Toxic Exposure Fund. And what we do and what we have done in the past, it really is, we have done advanced funding over the years. And we did, and as I mentioned earlier in my comments, Ranking Member Wasserman Schultz, Chair Judge Carter, a full day of negotiations. Quite frankly, it was one of the bright, shining spots of bipartisanship we had in going through the appropriations process, but that has been left out of this bill. Do you really care about veterans? Let's make sure they're taken care of, because they get caught in the crosshairs of this madness that we are currently involved in. I would also like to just say that I'm really tired and, quite honestly, fed up. It is a lie, it is misinformation that we had to reopen the government in order for there to be SNAP benefits to go to families. $6 billion in a contingency fund, which we voted for. Read the bill, understand what you did in the bill, and know what you did. You passed it. And it was the president who decided he did not want to spend that money to feed people. He's taken it all the way to the Supreme Court to deprive people and kids. It's 16 million kids. It's 8 million seniors. It's 4 million people who are disabled and 1.2 million veterans. You want to care for your veterans? Care for your veterans? Make sure that that money in that contingency fund is outflowing tonight and going, and not let them claw back, telling states